Welcome back to Wham Bam Dashcam. We've got 20 dashcam videos you won't see anywhere else, so let's get right into it. Richard was driving in New York when another driver got tired of waiting for the bumper-to-bumper stop-and-go traffic. With that genius maneuver, the SUV driver ensured traffic would get a lot worse for everyone else. Richard told us he stopped to check on the involved drivers, and thankfully nobody was seriously injured. He had this word of advice for our fans: pay more attention when driving and be patient. Well, I'm sorry to be the one to break this to you, Richard. The drivers coming up aren't any more patient, so hold on tight. Caleb was on his way home on the last day of the school year when he mistakenly thought an oncoming driver was in a turn lane. By the time he realized they were going straight, it was too late for him to correct his mistake. Caleb slammed on his brakes, hoping the other driver would be able to swerve around him. Instead, they collided at around 50 miles per hour, deploying all the airbags in the other vehicle. Both vehicles began leaking fluid and eventually became undrivable. Thankfully, both drivers were able to move off the road before waiting for first responders, and ultimately, neither driver was injured. After both vehicles were towed from the scene, it was determined that Caleb's Toyota 4Runner was totaled. He used the $17,000 insurance payout to put a large down payment on a Ford Edge. Ron witnessed instant justice after a driver from his right drifted through an intersection to beat a yellow light. Not one, but two marked police SUVs were across the intersection and witnessed the Tokyo Drift, with one of them immediately taking off in pursuit of the race car driver wannabe. I hope it was worth it. Miranda was on her way to pick up her son from school when she watched a pickup driver run a red light before smashing into the Subaru right in front of her. Not only did the pickup T-bone the Subaru, but an oncoming Toyota also collided with the pickup, making this a three-vehicle collision. Miranda provided a copy of her dashcam footage to the local sheriff's office. She told us she and her son Gabriel watch our videos together, and our channel is the reason she got a dashcam for her Mazda 5. If watching Wham Bam videos is your family tradition, don't forget to subscribe. Ethan was driving down a highway in California when the sunroof of the SUV in front of him suddenly exploded. The cause of the sunroof shattering isn't clear, but Ethan told us the raining shards of glass left scratches all over the front of his Kia Forte. He found damage on the front bumper cover, headlights, hood, side mirrors, roof, and even the windshield. The SUV never stopped, and Ethan decided not to file an insurance claim. This submitter was on his way to work when the driver ahead of him slammed on the brakes for an oncoming tanker that suddenly turned across the road. Our submitter locked up his brakes, barely avoiding a rear-end collision. He was sure to give the trucker a friendly honk before going around it in the oncoming lane. Ralph watched an oncoming minivan driver learn the hard way that you don't automatically get the right-of-way just because you're getting out of the way of an emergency vehicle. An ambulance approaching the minivan from behind prompted the driver to run their red light right into the path of a passenger van, whose driver never even slowed down. Ralph offered a copy of his dashcam footage to the police. He doesn't know if there were any injuries, but thankfully the ambulance crew was available to render aid while presumably having a different ambulance sent to the call they'd been responding to. Justin noticed drivers ahead of him slamming on the brakes before coming face to face with an SUV going the wrong way. The SUV driver climbed a curb and drove up over a grass median to reach the correct lanes of travel. Justin mentioned he doesn't have a rear-facing dashcam, but he did see that the SUV made it across the median. DG was driving through a green light in Ontario when an oncoming driver failed to yield, turning across the road and causing a collision. DG said that nobody involved in the collision, including his 2 passengers, was seriously injured. Both vehicles were rendered undrivable by the impact and had to be towed away. He's still waiting to hear back from his insurance provider, but the initial repair quote for his Hyundai Elantra exceeded $16,000. Charlie was driving his F-150 in Alaska when he suddenly noticed a moose about to run into the road in front of him. Charlie's pickup spun out as it slid to a stop, but thankfully he avoided colliding with the loose moose. He told us there wasn't much snow due to a mild winter, which probably helped him out in this situation. Charlie was driving his Nissan Maxima through the streets of New York City when he was suddenly struck by a BMW. The BMW driver ran a stop sign before colliding with Charlie's Nissan. Since Charlie had no stop sign, he had the right-of-way and should have been able to drive straight through the intersection without issue. KN had just picked up his son Noah from school when they both witnessed a Tesla behaving badly as a Model Y driver invented a lane to get around traffic before running a red light.
That Tesla man can't drive.
Tesla behaving badly.
Tesla man can't drive.
KN told us that Noah is a huge fan of the Wham Bam channels, and they spent the next few minutes discussing the various laws the Tesla driver had broken. By the way, KN has been featured on Wham Bam Dashcam before. We'll put a link to the previous episode that also featured his Nissan Leaf, one of the earliest videos on our channel, at the end of this one. KN told us he's on his 3rd Nissan Leaf. KN, bro, as someone who has owned 2 Nissan Leafs, I'm telling you, it's time to go Tesla. EVs are great, but ain't nothing a Tesla but a Tesla. And as a good driver, you can help us break the stereotype. Flip was on his way home in the rain after a long day. Just a couple of blocks from home, another driver made his day even longer by turning in front of his Honda Accord. The other driver ran their red light to turn in front of Flip, who had a solid green light. Even so, she immediately blamed Flip for the collision, calling the cops with her version of the story right away. Flip kept it to himself that he had dashcam footage while the other driver gave the responding officer her insurance information, which turned out to be fake. He then showed it to the officer, proving himself innocent. Sadly, he had to pay his insurance deductible to have his own provider fix the damage to his Honda. He told us this was his 2nd collision in the last year, and in the first one he didn't have a dashcam to prove what had happened. The result was that he was found responsible and cited. After this 2nd collision, his dashcam has already paid for itself. If you need a dashcam, you'll find links to our recommendations in the video description. Sultan watched the driver of a box truck barely avoid T-boning a driver who pulled out in front of him. After the box truck swerved violently around the sedan, Sultan also had to slam on the brakes to avoid T-boning it. He told us the driver then cut off a van coming the other way. Yikes! While Sultan managed to avoid getting rear-ended when forced to slow down, our next submitter wasn't so fortunate. Darth Carpenter was in highway traffic when his Ford Ranger was struck by another Ford Ranger. Darth Carpenter told us the other driver had been distracted, which explains his delayed reaction time. He made a report with the California Highway Patrol before filing an insurance claim. Caden was dropping off a delivery order when he heard a loud crash and tires screeching. At first, he thought 2 vehicles collided before both left the scene, but when he reviewed his dashcam footage, he saw that a car had left the road and destroyed a mailbox before narrowly missing a collision with an SUV. The car then fled the scene. Caden spoke with the person whose mailbox had been taken down, and he told Caden it wasn't the first time. Caden sent a copy of his dashcam footage to the police at the gentleman's request. Caden told us this is his first collision captured with his new dashcam, the same one we recommend in the description. He also said that watching Wham Bam videos has taught him to be ready for anything. Dylan was just leaving a grocery store when his Toyota Camry was rear-ended by a white Acura SUV.
Oh my God.
And they went, go, KCP 47 something, follow them.
The Acura driver then sped off, and Dylan immediately took off in pursuit. After chasing him for a while, laying on the horn the whole time, the Acura driver stopped in the middle of the road to exchange insurance information. The insurance company fought Dylan's claim right up until he showed them his dashcam footage proving their customer's responsibility. After a month of hassle, they paid $1,500 to replace the bumper cover on his Camry. In Dylan's words, the dashcam saved us. Even so, we definitely recommend upgrading to one with a rear camera angle, Dylan. It'll make future situations like this a lot easier to deal with. Our next submitter almost had a similar experience. Matt was making sure he had an opening before making a right on red when the work van behind him came within inches of a rear-end collision.
Oh my. Take it easy. This guy almost rear-ended me.
Matt told us the van driver glared at him after the close call, later yelling at him through his open window after they'd both gotten onto the highway. We found this exact intersection on Google Maps, and Street View reveals Matt's lane has a protected turn arrow, so maybe it was green at the time and he hadn't realized this. Even so, that doesn't mean the van driver was without fault. In almost every case, a driver who rear-ends another is found responsible for the collision, and this includes cases where the stop wasn't actually necessary. Give yourself space to stop and pay attention. Josie watched a Subaru driver signaling for a right turn come to a stop before getting rear-ended by the car behind them, and at the time, she didn't know why the Subaru driver had done this. It turned out the Subaru driver had stopped to allow a cyclist to use the crosswalk. Sadly for them, the driver behind them had been distracted and didn't brake in time to avoid a collision. Thankfully, Josie told us that nobody involved in the collision appeared to be injured as she continued. Simon lives in farm country, and on his way home one day, he managed to sneak up on a pedestrian in his Toyota Hilux. Simon laughed at the guy's reaction to realizing Simon was there after someone else warned him. He felt compelled to share the footage with us, and we just had to share it with you. Be sure to check out episode 11 featuring KN's previous submission, or check out the latest video in our Worst Drivers series featuring drivers from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Subscribe before you go, and we'll see you next week.
Wham, bam, we got a Patreon, man. Please support the show.